Hello everyone, in this video, let's talk about the logic. First is, let us define what is a logic. Logic allows us to determine the validity of arguments in and out of mathematics. It is a science or discipline that deals with the correct way of reasoning. Kumbaga, pinag-aaralan natin dito yung mga methods and principles na ginagamit para ma-distinguish or ma-identify natin yung good reasoning, correct reasoning, from the bad reasoning. Kumbaga, it's a way of thinking on how we reason out. Si logic kasi ang basis ng mga mathematical reasoning na meron tayo ngayon. Yung mga rules ni logic gives us the precise meaning to the mathematical statements. Yung mga rule na yan, yung ginagamit natin para ma-classify natin kung valid ba or invalid ba yung mga mathematical statements or arguments. Okay? Sabi din dito, si Aristotle ang father of logic, first person who organized the study of logic. And logic comes from the Greek word logos, which means speech and reasoning. Okay? Next natin is, let us define what is a proposition. Proposition is a declarative statement that is, by itself, it's either true or false, but not both. Okay? Di ba meron tayong mga types of sentences? Declarative, imperative, exclamatory, and interrogative. So yung declarative, ito yung statement or sentence that declares the fact or nagbibigay siya ng assertive or gives information. Pag sabi naman natin imperative, ito yung command, exclamatory yung nagbibigay ng emotions or excitement. Interrogative, ito naman yung nagtatanong or it's a question. Okay? So, proposition daw is a declarative that can be either true or false but not both. Okay? So, example, the sun rises in the east every night. This is an example of declarative statement. Therefore, it's a proposition. Okay? But if we're going to identify if it is true or false, so the sun rises in the east every night. So based on the statement, it is a false proposition. Okay, kasi the sun rises in the east, yes, but not every night. Okay. So we have types of proposition. We have simple and a compound proposition. Simple proposition means it gives a single idea statement. Si compound naman, it conveys two or more idea. And compound proposition can be created using the logical connectives or logical operators. So ano yung mga compound natin? We have conjunction, disjunction, conditional, biconditional. And every compound statement, meron tayong ginagamit na logical operator or tinatawag na logical connectives. We have and, or, if then, if, and only if. And for the simple proposition, ito yung ating negation. For example, yung proposition natin na the sun rises in the east every night. If we're going to have a negation statement for that proposition, this will be the sun doesn't rise in the east every night. Okay, kumbaga from the word not. Okay, yan yung ating simple proposition. Okay? To every proposition is assigned a truth value. Kumbaga, bawat proposition meron tayong tinatawag na truth value. Katulad ng example natin kanina, ang truth value nun ay false. Kasi false proposition siya. So a true proposition has a truth value true and a false proposition has a truth value false. Sometimes the symbol P or 1 are used for the true proposition and F or 0 are assigned for false proposition. Okay, usually we denote the proposition using small letters. Okay, those letters is called the propositional variables or sentential variables. Now, when a sequence of letter and or logical connectives are given, such that when the variables are replaced by a specific sentence, a proposition is formed, then we call this sequence of symbols as sentential form of the proposition. Kumbaga, yung combination na logical operators and the letters, kapag nabuo yon, ang tawag sa kanya ay sentential form. Okay? So, to define the proposition, say P, which we usually write P, colon, and then the given statement. Example, okay, we have P, colon, and then the Earth has 2 moons. Ayan. Okay, those are the examples on how we define a proposition. Okay, now let's talk about the logical operators or also called logical connectives. So, meron tayong mga types of statement which is negation, conjunction, disjunction, conditional, and biconditional. So, mga operators natin for the negation is not. So, ito yung symbol na ginagamit natin. And para naman sa conjunction, we have operator and. So, ito naman yung ginagamit nating symbol. Disjunction is or. Ito naman yung ginagamit nating symbol. And conditional is if then. Ito yung symbol natin. And by conditional, we have if and only if. Ito naman yung ginagamit nating symbol. Okay? So, let's consider the following sentences. Determine if the sentences is declarative or not, and if true or false. Number 1, 2 is the only even prime number. So, identify natin kung declarative. Okay, meaning ng declarative, it gives information. So, based on the number 1, it gives information. Now, let us identify if this is true or false. So, number 1 is true. Next, number 2, 8 is a multiple of 10, declarative. And 8 is not a multiple of 10, so therefore, it is false. Mothers are proud of their children. So we can say that this is declarative, but para masabi natin na ito ay proposition, dapat we can identify kung ito ba ay true or false, but not both. So yung mothers are proud of their children is subjective siya. Maybe for me, it's a yes because my mother is proud to me. However, for other children, maybe it's not because their mother is not proud to them. So depende. Okay, subjective kasi yung statement. So, declarative, yes, but not a logical statement or not a proposition. Okay. Next, number 4, are you happy? So, from that, not a declarative because it's interrogative. Number 5, x plus 3 is equals to 0. So, we can say that this is declarative, but it's not a logical, it's not a logical statement. Therefore, it's not a proposition. Because itong statement na to ay nakadepende yung magiging sagot mo kung true or false ba, depende sa value ng x natin. So yung mga statement that has a variables are not logical statement kasi hindi tayo sure if this is true or false. So malalaman lang natin kung true or false yan kung may value yung x. So number 5 is not a proposition. Okay, number 6, clean the room before you go. So it's not a declarative because it's an imperative sentence. Baga, it's a command sentence. Number 7, it will rain today. So number 7 can be declarative, but it's not a proposition. Because we cannot say if it will rain today or not. Okay? Pwede nating masabi by looking at the clouds, pero paano kung hindi naman pala umulan, kung makulimlim lang naman pala. Okay, so hindi natin ma-identify kung true ba siya or false. Next, number 8, happy birthday. So ito ay nagbibigay ng emotion or excitement or greetings. Okay, it's a greetings. So not a declarative, it's exclamatory. Okay, next natin, identify whether the following statements are proposition. If it is a proposition, determine its truth value, true or false if possible. So a while ago, we have learned that a statement is a proposition if it is declarative, first condition. And second, if we can identify the statement if true or false, but not both. Okay, so number 1, 3 plus 9 is equals to 12. So in here, we can identify this as a proposition because 3 plus 9 is really equal to 12. So we can identify kung true ba siya or false. Therefore, it's a true proposition. Number 2, 3x minus 2 is equals to 13 when x is 5. So kung isa-substitute natin yung value ng x, okay, dun sa ating equation, so we have 3, palitan natin yung x ng 5. So 3 times 5 yan. So we have 15. 15 minus 2 is equals to 13. So this is a proposition because may value naman tayo ng x na nakaprovide. Therefore, we can identify or we can classify if equal to 13 ba yung 3x minus 2. Therefore, it's a true proposition. But pag wala yung x is equals to 5, so hindi natin ma-identify kung true ba siya or false. So therefore, it's not a proposition kung walang value yung x natin. Next, number 3, dogs fly. So here, identify natin kung proposition ba o hindi. So, dogs fly, lumilipad ang aso. So, we can say that this is a proposition, but it's a false proposition. Okay? Next, there are 31 days in the month of September. So, it gives information, but it's a false proposition. Okay, square root of 12 is square root of 12 is rational. So, it gives information, so therefore it's a proposition, but it's a false proposition because square root of 12 is irrational. Next, x plus 9 equals to 11. So here, it's not a proposition kasi depende sa value ng x natin. Next, y is less than 5. So again, it's not a proposition because wala naman tayong nakabigay na value ni y. Okay, unless specific values of y is given, we can say that this is a proposition. Okay? Next, please open the door. So here, it's not a proposition kasi ito ay imperative sentence or it's a command sentence. Number 9, x times 0 is equals to 0. So from here, yes, we don't have the value of x, but if you're going to look at the equation, diba, any number, any non-zero number, any variable that you multiply to 0, diba, equal naman kay 0. So in this case, in number 9, we can identify this as a proposition because we can say that x times 0 is really equals to 0. So this is a true proposition. Next, x times 0 is equals to 1. So here, based dun sa number 9, that is a proposition. So here, kahit wala tayong value ng x, diba? Sabi ko nga, any non-zero number or variable that you multiply to 0, the answer is 0. So it's a proposition but it's a false proposition. Okay? So yung number 6 and 7 natin are yung ating proposition A and B. So pwede natin siyang magawang proposition kapag may assigned value tayo dun sa variable. So pag wala, so it's not a proposition. Let's discuss the types of proposition. Okay, first we have negation. Given the proposition P, the statement that says not P is a proposition known as the negation of P. This proposition is true if and only if P is false. Okay, and then this is denoted by this symbol. So we use this symbol or ito to denote the negation statement. Okay, or the word not. Or we can use it is not true that and then followed by the proposition na given. Example. What is the negation of the following statements? Proposition P, Q, and R. Okay, number 1, the negation of P, we can say square root of 2 is not irrational. Okay, we use the word not. Another option, pwede natin sabihin na square root of 2 is a irrational number. Okay, so kumbaga, kabaliktaran, nung rational is irrational. Or we can say, it is not true that square root of 2 is a rational number. Okay, so ito yung ginamit natin. And then, ito yung proposition P. Next, number 2, negation ni Q. 7 is not an even number. So we may use the word not. Or pwede natin sabihin na 7 is an odd number. Or pwede natin sabihin, it is not true that 7 is an even number. Next, number 3, the negation of R. So 3 minus 9 is equals to 6. The negation is 3 minus 9 is not equal to 6. Or we can say it is not true that 3 minus 9 is equal to 6. Okay? So sabi dito, ito daw proposition na to, itong negation, itong mga negation na to ay true siya kapag yung ating mga given na proposition is false. So let us see yung 1, 2, 3 natin kung false pa siya. Okay? So square root of 2 is rational. So alam naman natin na ang square root of 2 is irrational. Okay? So therefore this is false. 7 is an even. Okay? Alam naman natin ang 7 ay odd number. So this is false. And then 3 minus 9 is equals to 6. So this is false because the answer here is negative 6. Okay, so since this is false, therefore yung mga negation daw niya, yung true. Let us see. So example number 1, square root of 2 is irrational, diba? This is true. Next, number 2, 7 is odd numbers. This is true. And then number 3, 3 minus 9 is not equal to 6. Yes, this is true. Okay, so yung proposition na to ay true lamang kapag ang P ay false. Okay. Next natin, we have the compound propositions. We have conjunction. We use the word and to denote the conjunction statement or this symbol, yung inverted na V. Given propositions P and Q, the statement P and Q is a proposition known as the conjunction of P and Q. This proposition is true if and only if P and Q are both true. Okay, and then this is denoted by the symbol P, then inverted na Q, inverted na V and Q. Okay, note that, okay, if P and Q are propositions, then we can say that P and Q is also false, okay, if at least one of the P and Q is false. Okay? And note that yung and natin, we can replace and by but or pwede rin tayong gumamit ng while. Okay? So in logic, the word but sometimes is used for, okay, for and. Instead na gagamit ka ng and, pwede kang gumamit ng but or ng while. Okay? So dito naman sa logic, yung hindi naman tayo concerned with the distinction of those word, yung but and while. Okay? For example, the sun is shining and it is raining. Or we can say, the sun is shining but it is raining. Okay? For example, find the conjunction of the prepositions P and Q, where P is today is Friday and Q, it is rainy today. Okay, so hanapin daw natin yung conjunction of the preposition. So, i-connect lang natin yan using the word and. So, we have today is Friday and it is raining today. Or we can use the word but. Okay, instead of using and, we can use the word but. Okay, so this proposition is true, okay, on rainy Fridays, and false naman siya on any day that is not a Friday and on Fridays na hindi umuulan. Okay? Next natin, disjunction. We use the word or to denote the disjunction or yung V, symbol V for the symbol. Okay, given the propositions P and Q, the statement P or Q is a proposition known as the disjunction of P and Q. This proposition is true if and only if, okay, at least one of the P and Q is true, and it is denoted by this symbol. Okay? Now, pwede naman tayo gumamit ng either or kapag nagtatranslate tayo ng disjunction. Example, find the disjunction of the proposition P and Q. P, today is Friday. Q, it is raining today. So, connect lang natin yan using the logical operators natin or yung ating logical connective. So, we have today is Friday or it is raining today. Pwede naman natin gamitin yung either or. So, either today is Friday or today is raining. If we're going to classify the whole statement kung true ba or false, itong buong statement na yan ay magiging true kapag binanggit mo yan sa araw ng Friday or sa araw na umuulan. Okay? Magiging false naman siya kung binanggit mo to sa araw na hindi umuulan at kung hindi naman Friday. Okay? And also, magiging true siya kapag binanggit mo yan sa araw ng Friday at umuulan. Okay? So, next natin, let's have another example. Given the following simple propositions, make a compound statement as being asked. So, we have P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. So, number one, sabi dito, we have R and S. So, di ba kapag yung symbol na ganyan, yung nakabaliktad na V, it means and or conjunction. So, ibig sabihin, ang gagamitin nating operator dito is yung and. Kukunin lang natin yung R tsaka yung S. So, we have Charlotte needs to go to work and Paolo is sick. Or pwede namang Charlotte needs to go to work but Paolo is sick. So, pwede tayong gumamit ng and tsaka ng but. Okay? Next, number 2. So, we have P and U naman. So, and pa rin po siya. So, kunin natin yung P at yung U. So, we have Gladys is getting married and Tim is excited. Next, number 3. And then, X. Okay, X or Y. So, ang gagamitin natin ditong operator ay yung or. Pwede tayong gumamit ng either or. So, we have either the dog is adorable or is playful. Pwede rin namang the dog is either adorable or is playful. Okay, so meron tayong ginamit na either or. Okay, next naman, number 4. So, we have V or. Okay, V or W. Okay, so kunin natin yung V tsaka yung W. So, we have either Nikki wants to go to Paris. So, ito yung ating V, yung Nikki wants to go to Paris. Or, and then go to London. So, same tao naman siya. So, we have, either Nikki wants to go to Paris or go to London. Okay? Or pwede nating sabihin, Nikki wants to go either to Paris or to London. Okay, next example. P. Okay, so and ulit tayo dito kapag inverted na V means and or conjunction. And then naka-negate yung Q natin. So this is and then naka-negate yung Q. So kunin natin yung P tsaka yung Q pero naka-negate ang Q. So therefore, Joanne is counting her calories and, ito yung and, Jovel doesn't want to eat dessert. So kumbaga naka-negate si Q. Ito naman yung P natin. Okay, next number 6. Naka-negate yung buong statement. And then yung compound proposition natin ay, ang ginamit natin ay yung or. So, R and then S. So, pwedeng neither Charlotte needs to go to work nor Paolo is sick. Kumbaga, yung nasa loob ng parentheses is ito siya. And then this is or. Okay? Charlotte needs to go to work or Paolo is sick. Next, since ito ay naka-negate, yung buong compound proposition na yan, so lalagyan na lang natin ng neither nor. Okay, so we have neither Charlotte needs to go to work nor Paolo is. Okay, next is number 7. Naka-negate yung buong compound proposition natin. And then yung ginamit natin na operator is and. Okay, and then naka-negate yung y proposition natin. So, yung x tsaka yung y natin, kunin natin si x tsaka si y. So, the dog is adorable, the dog is playful. So, we can say, since ayan ay naka-negate yung buong statement, pwede natin gamitin yung it is not true that, ito na yan, ito yung naka-negate, that the dog is adorable, so ito yung x natin, and then end, negation ni y. Okay, so it is not true that the dog is adorable and is not playful. Next, number 8. So we have negation ni V, ine-negate natin si V, and then ang gagamitin nating operator ay end. Okay? So negation V and W. So we have Nikki doesn't want to go to Paris. Ito yung negation ni V. Okay, but yan yung ating end. She wants to go to London. So ito yung ating W. Okay? So that's how we translate our sentential form into statements. Okay, by the way, itong mga nakita niyong symbol, kung nakinig kayo kanina, the combination ng ating variables, sentential variable, and then the operators is called the sentential form. Okay? Okay, next natin is we have the conditional, or tinatawag natin siyang implication. So we use the operator if then to denote the conditional statement. Okay? Given the propositions P and Q, the statement if P then Q is a proposition known as the conditional statement. This statement is false only when P is true and Q is false. Okay, it is denoted by the symbol. So, wherein ang P natin is the premise, hypothesis, or the antecedent. And then ang Q natin is consequent or the conclusion. So, ito yung mga pwede nating gamitin in replacement do sa if P then Q. Pwede tayong gumamit ng if P and then state mo na yung Q. O kaya pwede kang gumamit ng Q muna, tas comma if Q. Pwede rin P is sufficient for Q. A sufficient condition for Q is P. Or Q whenever P. Or Q when P. Pwede rin P only if Q. And Q unless the negation of P. Okay, so yan yung mga pwede nating gamitin kapag conditional statement. Okay, example, let P be the statement, Danica learns mathematics. And Q, the statement, Danica will have a good job. Okay? Express the statement into conditional statement. So, lalagyan lang natin siya ng if then. Okay? If P, then Q. So, we have, if Danica learns mathematics, then she will have a good job. Okay? Or, pwede nating sabihin, Danica will have a good job when she learns mathematics. Or kaya, pwede nating sabihin, Danica will have a good job unless she doesn't learn mathematics. Okay? Kapag gumamit po kayo ng unless, ininegate nyo yung kasunod. Okay? So, yung concept ng ating conditional statement, ito yung cause and effect relationship between nung hypothesis natin at nung conclusion natin. Okay? Next is we have the biconditional, if and only if, ang ginagamit nating word to denote the biconditional, or tinatawag din natin tong double implication or by implication. Okay, so by that definition, we have, given the propositions P and Q, the statement P, if and only if, Q, is a proposition known as biconditional statement. It is true when its component P and Q have the same truth value. Okay, so it is denoted by this symbol. Okay, example, sabi dito, true daw siya kapag yung component ng P and Q have the same truth value. Example, kung parehong true, ibig sabihin true siya. Kung parehong false, ibig sabihin, true siya. Okay? So, false lang sila kapag isa sa kanila ay true. Okay? So, parang, false to, true to, is equals to false. Ito naman ay, let's say, true, false, and it is a true. Okay? And then, yung mga pwede nating magamit dito ay P is necessary and sufficient for Q. If P, then Q, and conversely. And also, pwede nating gamitin yung P, IFFQ. Yung IFF means if and only if. Okay? So, example natin is that, let P be the statement, you can take the flight, and let B the statement, you buy a ticket. Express the statement P, if and only if Q, as a statement in English. So, you can take the flight if and only if you buy a ticket. So, ito yung you can take the flight. Ito po yung P natin. If and only if, ito siya, you buy a ticket. Let's have more example. Express the following sentential forms into compound proposition. P, the sun is shining. Q, it is raining. Or, the ground is wet. So, number 1, so this is, kung makikita nyo yung symbol na ginamit natin dito ay conditional. So, ito yung if-then natin. Okay, so Q, if-then, negation ni P. So, naka-negate yung ating P dito. Okay? So, kunin natin yung Q, it is raining. And then yung ating P, the sun is shining. So, since this is conditional, dadagdagan natin to, lalagyan natin siya ng if, and then. Okay? Or kaya pwede kayong gumamit ng iba pang terms na binigay kanina. So, we have, if it is raining, then the sun is not shining. So, if it is raining, ito yung ating Q. If, then, the sun is not shining. So, naka-negate yung P natin. Okay, next, number 2. So, yung Q naman, it is raining. And then, since ito ay if then ulit, so conditional. So, if Q, then, okay, then R. Okay, so we have, if it is raining, then the ground is wet. So, raining, ito yung Q natin, and then, the ground is wet, ito yung R natin. So, yung logical connector or connectives na ginamit natin is yung if, tsaka then. Next naman natin, number 3. Okay, so mapapansin natin dito, we have R, Q, and negation ni P. Okay, so from here, nakita naman natin naka-close open parentheses itong Q tsaka P. So kumbaga ang pinaka-operator natin dito sa number 3 ay itong if and only if. Okay, ito yung pinaka-statement natin, naka-by conditional siya. Okay, so ibig sabihin, yung R natin ay the ground is wet, if and only if, okay, the ground is wet, ito yung R. If and only if, ito po yung ating connector, so or operator. Ayan. And then ito ay naka-parenthesis. So nasaan? It is raining, ito yung Q. Yung end natin, yung symbol na inverted na V. The sun is not shining. So naka-negate yung P natin. Okay, so the ground is wet if and only if it is raining and the sun is not shining. Okay? So, based dun sa mga definition natin, may naka-state na mga truth value. So, for example, we have statement negation. Okay, true siya kapag ang P natin is false. Kumbaga, itong negation P is magiging true kapag yung P natin, yung given na P is false. So, condition naman natin ng conjunction, if yung P natin and Q is true, kapag both ng P and Q natin ay true. Okay? Disjunction naman, yung P or Q natin ay true if at least one of them is true. And conditional, true siya. Ito yung if then natin, if then. Okay, true daw yan, yung buong statement na yan, kung yung Q natin ay true or both are false. Okay. Next naman natin yung biconditional. We have, ito naman yung if and only if natin. Okay, yung buong statement daw natin ay true if both are true. Okay, or both are false. Okay. Okay, let's discuss the forms of conditional statements. For the conditional statements, meron tayong converse, inverse, and contrapositive. So if the given is the conditional statement if P then Q, for the converse we have if Q then P. Okay, babalik na rin. And kapag inverse, okay, if not P, then not Q. Kumbaga, inverse nung negation ng ating conditional state. And then for the contrapositive, it is the negation ng ating converse. So if not Q, then not P. Okay, example. Example number 1, P is Mirna is intelligent. Q, Mirna will study mathematics. So hanapin natin yung forms of the conditional statement. So if P, then Q, then its converse is, but before that, state muna natin yung nasa conditional statement natin. So that is, if Mirna is intelligent, then Mirna will study mathematics. Okay, so ito yung conditional statement natin. And for us to get the converse, diba yan ay Q then P. So if Mirna will study mathematics, then she will or she is intelligent. And for the inverse, ito yung negation ng ating conditional. So negation ni P, then negation ni Q. Okay? So we have, if Mirna is not intelligent, then she will not study mathematics. And for the contrapositive, this is the negation of the converse. Okay, not Q, then not P. Okay, so we have, if Mirna will not study mathematics, then she is not intelligent. Another example, 0 is an integer, 0 is a whole number. Okay? Kunin muna natin yung conditional statement. If 0 is an integer, then it is a whole number. So for us to get the converse, if q, then p. So we have, if 0 is a whole number, then it is an integer. Next, the inverse, the negation of p and q. So if not p, then not q. Okay, if 0 is not an integer, then it is not a whole number. And for the contrapositive, this is the negation of the converse, not q, then not p. So we have, if 0 is not a whole number, then it is not an integer. Okay, next example, the sequence has a last term, the sequence is finite. So get natin yung conditional statement, we have the sequence has a last term, then it is finite. Okay, so for us to get the converse, okay, q then p. If the sequence is finite, then it has a last term. For the inverse, not p, then not q. If the sequence has no last term, then it is not finite. And for the contrapositive, this is the negation of the converse. If not q, then not p. So we have, if the sequence is not finite, then it has no last term. Okay, next example, example number 4. X is greater than 0, x is positive. So for the conditional statement, we have, if x is greater than 0, then it is positive. For the converse, if x is positive, then it is greater than 0. For the inverse, if not p, then not q. We have, if x is not greater than 0, then it is not positive. And for the contrapositive, not q, then not p. If x is not positive, then it is not greater than 0. Okay? Next naman natin is to translate English sentence into logical expression. Okay? Express the following compound propositions into sentential forms. So, kumbaga, given yung ating proposition, gagawa tayo ng sentential form. Okay? So, number 1, 10 is not an even integer if and only if 11 is not a prime number. So, identify muna natin yung mga simple propositions sa given. Katulad nito, 10 is not. So, may not. Even integer. Diba itong 10 is an even integer is yung p natin. Since naka-not, so naka-negate yung p. And sabi dito, if and only if, ito yung ginamit na logical connector or operator. So ano bang symbol na ginagamit natin kay if and only if? Diba yung, ayan. Okay. And 11 is not a prime. So may not ka na naman. So naka-negate na naman yan. And yung 11 is a prime, di ba yan po yung ating Q. So ibig sabihin naka-negate yung Q natin. Therefore, ang sagot natin dito ay negation ni P. Okay, and negation ni Q. Okay, so ito po yung answer natin for number 1. Okay, next, number 2, if 11 is prime, so nag-start tayo sa word na if, hinanapin mo kung may then. So meron namang then. So if then statement to or conditional statement. Yung number 1 is biconditional. Itong number 2 is conditional. Okay, 11 is prime. So 11 is prime natin. Yan yung ating Q. And then 10 is an even integer. Ito yung ating P. Since may not ka na naman, so naka-negate yung P natin. So therefore, ang pinaka statement natin ay naka-if then. So ang gagamitin nating symbol ay ito. Okay, and then Q, negation ni P. Okay, so ito yung ating sentential form for number 2. Okay, next, number 3, it is not true that, so may not true, so sabihin naka-negate. Okay, that, itong buong to ay naka-negate. Okay, therefore, naka-ganyan siya. Okay, 11 is prime number, that is the Q. Okay, Q. And gumamit tayo ng word na while, so therefore, ito ay conjunction. Okay, 10 is not, may not ulit, even integer. Okay, 10 is an even, yan po yung ating P. And then naka-not, so naka-negate. So therefore, yung nasa loob ng parenthesis natin ay Q and negation ni P. Okay, so ito yung ating answer for number 3. Okay, next naman, 10 is an even integer if and only if. So naka-biconditional na naman po tayo dito. And then 10 is an even, ito po yung P natin. 11 is not a prime. So naka-negate yung Q natin. Okay? So therefore, ang sagot natin for number 4 ay P, if and only if, negation ni Q. Okay? So next example, express the following compound propositions into sentential form. So we have P, Jonathan is sleeping. Q, Jonathan is playing badminton. R, Alec is studying. And T, Alec is taking a bath. So number 1, either Jonathan is sleeping or Jonathan is playing badminton, comma, while Alec is taking a bath. So tingnan muna natin yung mga simple proposition dito. So Jonathan is sleeping. Ito po ay, sino siya? Yung proposition P natin. Jonathan is playing badminton. Ito naman yung ating Q. And then Alec is taking a bath. Ito naman yung ating letter T. And tingnan natin yung mga connectors or operators na ginamit. So may ginamit kang while. And then of course, while ito yung sa may end. So yung symbol natin dyan yung inverted na, okay, na D. And then gumamit tayo dito ng either. So may either ka at or. Ibig sabihin, ito ay yung V natin or yung disjunction. So kung mapapansin mo sa statement, may comma. Okay, ibig sabihin, kung nakakama yan, ibig sabihin, nakaseparate yung either Jonathan is sleeping or Jonathan is playing dito kay Alec is taking a bath. So therefore, ito ay naka-parenthesis. Okay, so pag samasamahin natin yan, so magiging answer natin, okay, dito ay naka-parenthesis. You have P, and then or, Q, and then and, Alec is taking a bath is T. Okay, so ito yung answer natin for number 1. So kung tatanungin kayo kung ano yung pinaka type of statement nito or yung tawag dito, yung ating logical operator, ito yung conjunction natin. Okay, kumbaga ito kasi ay magkasama, yung naka-parenthesis magkasama yan, and then dun sa T. Okay? Kumbaga ito yung P mo, kumbaga ayan yung P and Q mo. Ito yung P, ito yung Q. Okay, and then ito yung operator. Okay? So next, number 2, either Jonathan is sleeping. So Jonathan is sleeping, ganun din. So ito yung P natin. Jonathan is playing badminton. Ito naman yung Q. Alec is taking a bath. Ito naman yung ating P. And may ginamit din tayo, actually same po yung ating, okay, yung ating statement. Kaso ang pinagkaiba niyan, yung comma nito ay ito. Either Jonathan is sleeping, comma. Okay, nakakama siya agad. And then, or, Jonathan is playing badminton, while, ito yung end natin. So, meaning to say, ang naka-parenthesis naman dito ay yung Jonathan is playing badminton while Alec is taking a bath. Okay? Kumbaga, ang magiging sentential form natin ay P, and then or, open parenthesis, Q, okay, and T. Okay, so ito naman ang sentential form natin. So, ito ay disjunction. Okay? Yung number 1, conjunction. Number 2 is disjunction. Okay? So, let's have another example. You can access the internet from the campus only if you are a computer science major or you are not a freshman. So, if we're going to translate this English sentence into logical expression or sentential form, kailangan muna nating makita sa statement kung ano yung mga simple sentence or yung simple proposition. Okay? Magre-represent tayo ng mga letters or variables para dun sa mga simple propositions natin. Okay? You can access the internet from the campus, single proposition. You are a computer science major and you are a freshman. So, ayan yung mga single proposition natin. So, from that, makikita naman natin dito kung ano yung mga operators na ginamit. Only if, tsaka may or. And dun sa may you are not a freshman, may ginamit siya na word na not. Okay? So, mag-assign muna tayo ng letter. Let's say, use natin P. Okay, yung P natin, you can access the internet from the campus. Q natin, you are the computer science major. And then, R natin, yung you are a freshman. Since ito ay naka-negate, so negation ni R ang ilalagay natin. And then, pag nakita kayo ng word na only if, okay, based dun sa conditional statement natin, yung mga symbol na ginagamit natin or yung words na ginagamit natin for conditional statement, kasama yung only if. Hindi naman siya if and only if, so we can use this symbol, okay, para sa conditional statement natin. Okay, take note, hindi po ito if and only if, so hindi ito by conditional. Ito ay conditional statement. Okay, only if. And then yung or natin, yung symbol natin for the or is yung V. So meaning niyan ay conjunction. Now, we have P. Okay. Okay, kung ililista natin yung mga variables, ayan yung ating sentential form. Kaso, tatandaan natin palagi dapat yan ay naka two parts only. Kumbaga, alin kaya dyan ang magkakasama? Kumbaga, pwedeng ito, okay, and then ayan, or pwede rin namang ito or ito. Okay, kumbaga yung ginamit ay yung or. Okay, so tingnan muna natin dito sa statement. Nakalagay dito, you can access the internet from the campus only if. Kumbaga, ito yung if mo. Okay, ito yon. So, ito na yung if P. Okay? Then, ito na siya. Okay, naka-parenthesis, itong nasa dulo. Okay, so kumbaga, ito ay if P, then, okay, the disjunction of Q and the negation of R. Okay? So, ito yung ating sentential form. Okay, o kaya, kung may parenthesis po kayong, kung may comma po kayo nakita dito, ayan. Kung merong ganyan, ibig sabihin, yung ating naka-parenthesis is yung P tsaka yung Q. Okay, since wala naman po, yan ang ating sentential form. Okay, next is an example. A function f has an inverse if and only if f is an one-to-one and onto. So, tingnan muna natin kung ano-ano yung mga simple propositions natin. So, we have a function f has an inverse, f is one-to-one, and onto. Okay? So, mag-assign tayo ng variables, and then tingnan natin kung ano-ano yung mga operators na ginamit. So, we have if and only if, and then yung ating word na and. So, we have P as function f has an inverse, f is an one-to-one, and f is onto. Okay, so, mga symbol na gagamitin natin, if and only if. So, ibig sabihin ito ay biconditional. And then yung word na end. So, we have the inverted P. So, we have, okay, so tingnan natin kung sino ang magkasama dyan. So, if and only if, okay, so ibig sabihin ito po yung magkasama. Ito yung naka-parenthesis. Okay? Okay, next is, if it is given that if 10 is prime, then 12 is odd, and if 12 is odd, then 5 is irrational. Thus, if 10 is prime, then 5 is irrational. So dito, tingnan muna natin ulit yung mga single or simple proposition natin. We have 10 is prime, 12 is odd, naulit yung 12 is odd, 5 is irrational, naulit yung 10 is prime, and then 5 is irrational. So mag-assign muna tayo ng variable for every single proposition. Okay, we have 10 is prime. And then 12 is odd, let's say O, proposition O. And then 5 is irrational, let's say I. Okay. So, after nyan, tingnan muna natin yung construction ng sentence. Makikita natin dito yung PO, di ba? If, may if din siya. So, meaning to say, magkasama yan sa isang parenthesis. Ito din. Okay? So, may mga if then. And then, for the whole statement, may nakalagay na if it is given that. So, parang may word na if ka dyan. And then, yung word na thus. So, kumbaga, itong buong statement mo ay naka-conditional. Okay? So, kumbaga, naka-if then po tayo dito. Okay? Next is, bawat naka-box na blue, may if then din, di ba? Okay? And meron tayong ginamit na word na end. So, may conjunction part. So, tingnan natin kung paano natin to i-susulat. Okay? So, yung end natin, yung symbol niya ay inverted na V. Okay? So, we have PO. If P, then O. If O and I. If P, then I. Okay? So, tingnan natin kung sino-sino ang magkakasama. And then, of course, sa pagitan ng if P, then O, and if O, then I, meron siyang N. So, naka-conjunction. And magkakasama sa isang parenthesis yung PO, yung OI, at yung PI. Okay? And as you can see, okay, yung if it is given that, and then nakakama ka dito, and then may word na thus. Ibig sabihin, ito yung magkasama sa sa isang parenthesis. Yung PO and OI natin. Okay? So, pwede tayong gumamit ng bracket. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, ang operator ng statement na to ay if then. So, ito yung ating translation. Okay, let's have another example. What type of statements are the following sentential forms? So ngayon, identify muna natin kung ano bang mga statement meron dito sa 1 to 9. Okay? So isa-isahin natin sa number 1. Kung makikita nyo dyan, naka-parenthesis po siya. For example, ito. Okay? And ito, naka-separate. So let's say ito yung A mo, ito yung B. So kung isusulat mo siya, that is A and B. So ano po bang pinaka-operator na ginamit? Diba ito? Ibig sabihin, ito ay conditional statement. Okay, next number 2. Okay, naka-parenthesis yung if E then F. Let's say ito yung A mo. And negation of F, then negation ni E. So, kumbaga, ito ay magkasama sa isang parenthesis. So, let's say ito naman yung B. And ang pinaka-ginamit na operator ay ito. So, ito ay A, if and only if B. Therefore, ito ay by conditional. Next, number 3. So, sa loob ng isang parenthesis, may M and N ka. So, let's say ito yung A mo. Ito naman yung negation ni M or negation ni N. Let's say ito yung B. So, yung pinaka-operator na ginamit dito ay ito. So, therefore, ito ay naka-or. A or B. So, ito ay disjunction. Next, number 4. So, ito, yung P, single lang siya. So, wala siyang kasama. Yan lang. And then, P. Okay, then, sa loob ng parenthesis, ito naman, let's say ito yung A mo. So, let's say, if P, then A. So, therefore, ito ay conditional. So, pinaka-ginamit na connector ay ito. Okay, next, number 5. So, magkasama to sa loob ng parenthesis. Let's say ito yung A. Ito ay wala namang kasama. So, we have A and or. So, since ang ginamit na operator ay and, so this is conjunction. Number 6. Okay, kung makikita mo naka-bracket, ito yung buong bracket na yan. Okay. So, let's say, yung buong bracket na yan, ayan yung A mo. O, sige, isahin natin. For example, ito yung A, ito yung B, ito yung C. So, yung mga naka-parenthesis, pinangalanan ko ng A, B, and C. So, yung una, sa pinaka-unang naka-parenthesis, yan yung A and B mo. Okay, so yung A and B mo, okay, let's say yan yung ating letter D. Hindi yan na, letter D. Okay, and then, ito namang isang naka-parenthesis na to, ayan, ibig sabihin, ito ay yung U, if U, then C natin. Okay, if U, then C. So, let's say yung if U, then C natin ay si letter E naman. Okay, kumbaga, nagle-let lang tayo dito para makita nyo yung pinaka-operator na ginamit. Okay, so, ang ginamit natin dito ay D. If D, then E. Okay, so this is conditional. Okay, and number 7, UV. So, UW, magkasama sa isang parenthesis. Let's say yan yung A mo. Okay, so we have A and negation ni W. So, ang pinaka-ginamit na operator ay yung and natin. So, this is conjunction. Next, number 8. Ito naman, let's say ito yung A mo. Ito yung B. So, therefore, yung negation ni A, if and only if B. Okay, so ang ginamit nating operator ay if and only if. So, this is by conditional. And for the last number, so kung nakikita nyo na yung clue sa number 9, as you can see, naka-bracket tong buong to. At ito din, naka-bracket. Okay, kumbaga, let's say ito yung A mo, ito yung B. So, that is A, if and only if B. So, therefore, ang ginamit na operator ay if and only if. So, this is by conditional. Okay? Okay, that's it. Okay, thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something from our discussion. Okay, God bless everyone.